Hello, and thank you for having joined me. My name is Alina Machuca. I work as an inside systems engineer for Veeam Software, and today I'm going to deliver a presentation and a product demo regarding Veeam ONE in its 11th version and its key capabilities. So, before we begin, please note that you are all on mute since this is a webinar. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to address them in the questions and chat panes, and we will be trying to address them on the go. If not possible, they will be addressed at the end of the webinar. All right, thank you. So, what is Veeam ONE actually? Veeam ONE is our monitoring solution, and not only because you shall see that it also has reporting included, right, among its capabilities, and and many others, right? So Veeam ONE, why Veeam ONE? Why what types of challenges could Veeam ONE actually answer, right? And what were the main customer challenges in 2021? Well, as 2021 was a very special year when we were speaking about administrating infrastructure, right? We have ransomware, which is the word of the day, and maybe keeping backup data safe from ransomware was basically the number one challenge for the majority of administrators. Also, the circumstances made so that these were years where there was like zero tolerance, right, for downtime and data loss in virtual environments. So the SLAs became tighter and tighter when we speak about providing services, as well as the internal obligations, right, that the internal IT departments needed to meet. Speaking of obligations, right, we also have the compliance and retention goals that we are supposed to meet as backup administrators or as system administrators. We need to make sure that we have recoverable data, right, despite eventual storage constraints or even staff constraints, right? So we need this these recovery processes to be automated in a way, and not only we need to make sure that data is recoverable in such conditions, right? And last but not least, IT departments all over the world are now facing the challenge of protecting company data at home, right? So be it Office 365 or the data that actually resides right on the employees' workstations. Okay, so with this being said, let's see how Veeam ONE has evolved in V11 and what are some ways that it can help you respond to the challenges we've just detailed. So basically, what happens is that in the first place, Veeam ONE has kept the pace with Veeam Backup and Replication, which has added plenty of features in V11, right? So in Veeam ONE, we will have monitoring, alerting, and reporting for continuous data protection, for the new continuous data protection policy that V11 has brought forth. Basically, this will allow you to catch any issue that might be affecting the processing of your mission critical workloads, right? Which you are processing through the CDP policies that you have set up in Veeam Backup and Replication. And you can catch these issues literally at the speed of light, right? Because this is a 24/7 monitoring and alerting software which sends real-time alarms, and this allows you to precisely control, right, your mission critical workloads protection by analyzing this monitored data and these alerts. And when it comes to reporting, right, Veeam ONE users can now easily ensure compliance with the desired SLA, right, and determine the root causes of SLA drops. When we're still speaking about CDP, right? By analyzing, right, each processed VM's last 100 issues, for example. And moreover, the new version delivers predefined reports, right, for simple reporting scenarios as well. Great. What else? Another feature that we've added in V11 was the Veeam agent for Mac, actually, the possibility to back up Mac workstations. And we've also added this in Veeam ONE. So we have support for Veeam agent for Mac, which includes like monitoring and alerting, of course. So with this particular release, Veeam ONE users, they can control the protection state of their Mac machines, of their Mac OS machines. They can easily identify machines which have no backup, and they can also, right, through the backups size, identify suspicious activity, right, that's potentially affecting the machine, and that's the whole environment. We also have reporting for macOS, so Veeam ONE users can identify which machines are protected on time, which are not, and whether the RPO requirements are met. Great. So we also have a new user interface. If you have ever tested Veeam ONE, or if you have ever used it, you'll notice this in the demo, and whether you'll test the new version, you'll notice this as well. It has enhanced flexibility, enhanced performance, enhanced security, right? We have the new Veeam ONE web client, which has simplified navigation. It gives you one-click access to deployment, projects and product configurations, and we have more customization options, right? So, and also we have the new enhanced Veeam ONE Client, which you shall see, it has been redesigned to simplify daily operations. It's interesting to note that we now have VMware Cloud Directory replication support, especially important for service providers, right? So starting with V11, the monitoring teams of service providers are able to track the VAP replication process between VDCs, and they can be automatically notified, right, if there are any failures there. And in addition to all these major enhancements, it's worth to say that Veeam ONE, in its 11th version, introduces, right, extended support for Veeam Backup and Replication V11, right? So it provides support for its new and existing, right? It provides report for its new and existing backup and recovery capabilities. For example, we now have archive tier support, right? So archive tier is also a new feature of Veeam Backup and Replication. And now through Veeam ONE, backup administrators can see all the configuration information on the archive tier from their scale out backup repositories, and this also includes the immutability state, right? And we can track the space consumption, right, within the Veeam ONE client, and we can also generate reports, right? For agents, we also have database log backup alerting, right? So version 11 allows operations and database administration teams or monitoring teams to stay updated on Microsoft SQL and Oracle databases protection status, right? And we also have database log backup reporting, right? Another new feature for the agents, and which gives the possibility to the monitoring teams to now automate SQL and Oracle database log backup reporting tasks. Also for Nutanix, now we have in Veeam ONE, we now have visibility for Veeam backup for Nutanix AHV snapshot only, sorry, jobs, which allow you to monitor the state of your Nutanix AHV snapshot only jobs, right? In a similar way to the other job types, which is most likely very interesting for our Nutanix AHV customers. All right, so this being said, how about Veeam ONE from a commercial perspective, right? So Veeam ONE is included in the Veeam Availability Suite, right? Which is basically Veeam ONE and Veeam Backup and Replication together, right? So it combines the backup and recovery features of Veeam Backup and Replication with the monitoring, reporting and analytics features of Veeam ONE. And you also have the Veeam DR Pack, right? Which also includes the Veeam Disaster Recovery Orchestrator. You can add this to a new or previous purchase of either a Veeam Availability Suite or Veeam Backup and Replication. Veeam Disaster Recovery Orchestrator is another very interesting product that you have, which is meant to help you design and test your DR strategies in an automated way. And it does make a great team with Veeam Backup and Replication and Veeam ONE indeed. All right, so what are we going to see today during our demo? We are going to see exactly how Veeam ONE can help us monitor and perform reporting tasks for our virtual environment as well as our backup environment, right? We are going to check out the advantages of Veeam ONE and how easy it is to deploy and use. We are going to check out the product components, right? So basically Veeam ONE incorporates two software components. We have the Veeam ONE Client, which is the primary tool that we use for monitoring our virtual environment and for monitoring our Veeam backup and replication infrastructure. So in the Veeam ONE Client, our customers can manage or view or interact with the alarms as well as with the monitoring data. They can analyze the performance of their virtual and backup infrastructure components. They can track the efficiency of their data protection operations. They can use it to troubleshoot issues, group their virtual infrastructure, right? And also obviously administer their monitoring settings. Well, the second component, the Veeam ONE Web Client, actually gives access to a set of dashboards and reports that allow our customers to verify their potential configuration issues, to optimize their resource allocation and utilization, to track implemented changes so they can also use it for audit, plan capacity growth, and also you can track, right, whether mission critical workloads from your environment are properly protected. Good. So we are going to examine these two components and check them out in detail. Basically, the Veeam ONE Client comes we're going to have a monitoring deep dive and the reporting deep dive, where we will see that the Veeam ONE Client, right, we've just mentioned, the monitoring aspect. It comes as a part of the Veeam ONE solution, right? And as we've said, it's the primary tool for monitoring everything that is Veeam Backup Replication, VMware vSphere, and Microsoft Hyper-V. And we will be able to see exactly what it does. And we will be able to check how it monitors your virtual infrastructure, vCloud, what's the business view monitoring, right? So basically what happens here is that the Veeam ONE Client allows you to monitor and alert on the virtual infrastructure presented from the business perspective. You will see that. And you are able to group virtual infrastructure objects by criteria such as business unit, department, purpose, SLA, so forth. And we will also check out the Veeam ONE web client in detail, right, which is designed for documenting and reporting in the Veeam backup and replication infrastructure, as well as VMware vCloud and Hyper-V, right? And we will look through all the detailed reports and dashboards. Great. So in a nutshell, why Veeam ONE? Because it's proactive alerting that works 24/7 and that you will be receiving in your inboxes, for example, right? For its monitoring and reporting capabilities, and because these alerting, monitoring, and reporting capabilities are basically meant to help you with your virtual infrastructure as well as your backup infrastructure, so you'd have it all in one place. For the intelligent diagnostics that we'll also check out, right, which allow you to solve potential issues in a timely manner and avoid long conversations and long email threads with the Veeam support, for its automation capabilities, and for all its governance and compliance, chargeback, capacity planning features, right, and the remediation actions that you can automate. Okay, so with all these being said, I think it's time for a demo. Just give me a couple of seconds to change screens. Okay, perfect. So basically now we are seeing the Veeam ONE Client, and so we can take a look at everything we've discussed. We can see that the first pane is the infrastructure view that gives us insights into our virtual infrastructure, be it Hyper-V or VMware, right? And you can see how much in detail this goes. Before moving on, you can see how extremely simple it is to navigate and install and adjust the settings in the Veeam ONE Client. For example, when you want to connect a server, right, you will be able to add a vCenter server or a vCloud director server, a Hyper-V management server or cluster or standalone host or whatnot, or a Veeam backup and replication server. You just click on the server, on the type of server that you want to connect to Veeam ONE, and a wizard will start, right? You'll have a wizard here where you render the DNS name or IP address, choose the type of server, and next. Okay, and we can also see the settings right here. if you want to tweak it, right? The client settings, as well as the server level settings. Okay, so in the infrastructure view, after you've connected your components, you will be able to see a summary of the resource consumption and performance on your virtual infrastructure components, right? So for example, clicking on this vCenter, right, will show us the latest alarms, which we will be able to see in detail and even filter, right? We only want to see the errors, for example, and we see we have some storage connection failures, host swap memory alerts, right? If you click on it, we're going to see the text to get an idea on what happened. And we're also going to get these hyperlinks, right, which send us to VMware's official documentation. We'll detail the alerts in a few minutes anyhow. And we are able to see the VMs, right, with the provision that use space, CPU usage, memory usage, IP addresses, DNS names, assigned memory, how many virtual CPUs, guest OS, the state of VMware tools, hardware version, etc., hosts, data stores connected, right? So it gets super in detail, and we also have some graphs here regarding CPU consumption, memory, network, data store, and so forth. And we can see the top VMs by resource, top hosts, tasks and event processes, services, and so forth, right? So, and we can do this for basically every type of object almost. For example, if we take a host and ESXi, right, we can see the same type of info. We have the summary, we'll be seeing the alerts. We can check out the VMs, right? If we click on this, for example, if you click on the VM, we'll see its summary with its alerts and so forth. We will be able, for example, to perform some remote management actions right directly from Veeam ONE. We can connect to the VM, power it off, reboot, power it on, shut down the guest OS. We can open the console, and if we go to processes and services, we have the option to authenticate ourselves and manage the processes and services running on that VM, and also for Windows create alerts based on the state of processes and services, which also provides us with application level monitoring, right? So for example, we can monitor the services connected to certain applications and receive live alerts whether when they stop or when they stop running or start running or whatever. Okay, so moving on to the business view. The business view basically, as we've already mentioned, it allows us to import tags or group our objects using business criteria, right? So this will give us greater visibility. We can group, for example, our machines by SLA and have a folder with mission critical machines, which we will be paying more attention to, for example, or we can group them by business unit, for example, right? Or by geographical location. So we can prioritize our tasks. The data protection view actually gives us insight into our backup infrastructure components. So we will be seeing, right, we'll be seeing the Veeam backup and replication server. We'll be seeing alerts, backup alerts, right? Let's see what happened in our environment. So see database log backup job state. We have a warning. We've just mentioned this type of alert, but this is for a VM. However, what else? Immutability state. So there's something going on with the immutability state on our S3 capacity tier, right? So we can see a ton of stuff about what's going on in our Veeam backup and replication environment. We even got this suspicion, not this, the other suspicious incremental backup size, right? This is one of the 2 ransomware alerts that we have in Veeam ONE, and basically this alert is based on historical data, and it monitors the size of incremental restore points, and when they are different, significantly different, right, from the previously created ones, we get this alert, right, which can mean that we might have ransomware activity on these VMs. Okay, so, and we can see this, that we got this alert for these jobs, right? So the incremental backup size created by VMware Backup to Store One's job is about this threshold. Okay. And we have a ton of other stuff besides alerts. We can check out the VM protection, right? If we click here, and we're also able to apply filters, for example, if we want to see all the backup jobs, right? With their average duration, transfer data, last run, or if you want to see the sure backup jobs. CDP. So we can also filter this by job type and also by workload type, right? We can show only VMware vSphere jobs or AWS backup copies or Nutanix, right? Because we've also mentioned Nutanix during our presentation. Okay. And then we can see them in detail here. We can see the cloud backup policies, right? Remember that we have in this integration with Veeam Backup for Azure and Veeam Backup for AWS. We can see file jobs, meaning that these are the jobs that protect our NAS boxes. Agent jobs, right? So where we can also filter by workload, Windows, by OS actually, like Windows, Linux, Mac, IX, and do we have any? No, we don't. Okay, let's see all the Linux jobs. Here we go. We can also see the agent policies, right, which is for workstations, but we don't have any at the moment. And then we can monitor the resources, tasks, and events, and so forth. And if we go check the repositories, for example, we will have an overview with the number of repositories that we have in our environment. We have 13, out of which 3 scale-outs, 2 external repositories. We are basically storing 145 of virtual machines and computers, 11 terabytes of full backup, 11 terabytes of increments, 473 gigabytes of file backups, and so forth. So we can see this in detail, right? Obviously, we have alarms. We have these immutability alarms that have been generated for our capacity and archive tiers, tasks, and events. Okay, so if we are going to choose to check one repository in detail, we will see that in the summary pane, we are seeing how many concurrent tasks we have set for that repository, what OS, what type of repository is it, and we're talking about Linux. This is the hardened Linux repository, also a new V11 feature. We can see that we've set immutability on it for 7 days, meaning that for 7 days, after being written, the data is immutable. It cannot be deleted or changed, right? We are storing 12 VMs and computers, and we can also see the amount of giga in full backups and incremental backups. And we also have capacity planning information, right? Remember, we've mentioned that, and we're going to see more about capacity planning when we talk about reports. But we can also see this here, right? So this repository will be out of space in 32 days. So we can prevent that, right? And we can prevent that and thus prevent having failed backup jobs, right? And have failed backup jobs, which means missed SLAs, missed RPOs, and so forth. And we can also check the VMs, right? We can see the list of VMs that we are hosting. Well, VM data, right? We're hosting their data on that repository. Computers, alarms that have been generated for this repository, and so forth, right? We can do the same for proxies. Let's check a proxy, right? And now this is an on-host proxy. Okay, so basically in its overview, we will be seeing what kind of a proxy it is. We can see that this proxy uses direct SAN, right? So it is a direct SAN access proxy. It has processed 99 disks in the last 7 days, and we have set 16 concurrent tasks. And we have the same type of info, right? We'll have the alarms and the resources. Moving on to alarm management, we have several hundred predefined alarms, and we have alarms for VMware, Hyper-V, and backup and replication. For example, let's search. We've mentioned that we have 2 ransom specific alerts. Okay, this is the second one. While the first one is actually targeting your backups, this is an alert that is basically targeting your virtual infrastructure, right? Its name is possible ransomware activity, and it means that basically the virtual machine that this alert has been generated for had a high write rate on its data store, along with high CPU usage, right? These can be caused by ransomware activity. And let's see how we can actually tweak this alarm, because you can, even though the alarms are predefined, you can edit them. We are very flexible. We can edit the rules. We can see that we have a rule based on Boolean operators and thresholds, and you can raise these thresholds here, for example. You can also adjust its assignment. So, for example, let's say that you want this alert to only be executed for this XXI here. You're just gonna change the assignment. Notification options, right? So you can leverage SNMP traps. You can choose to run a script, or you can send an email notification. Actions, we also have actions, right? So for example, here you can run a script as a response to this alarm, and you can choose to execute it by approval or automatically, right? You're just going to copy the path to your script here, and Veeam ONE is going to execute it or ask for approval for execution each time you will get this alert. Also, suppression rules and the knowledge base, which you can actually adapt for your needs. We also have the intelligent diagnostics, which are Veeam backup and replication alarms, which can show you potential issues in your environment. For example, what I mean is, if you get this backup job, do not perform retry operations, right? This means that due to your settings, backup jobs may not perform retry operations after a job failure, right? When you are using, because you're using this version of Veeam Backup and Replication, which is mentioned here, it's 9.5 update 3. So we give you a cause. This happens due to an insufficient timeout in job management logic, and we also give you a resolution, right? So to update or contact the Veeam technical support for other options, and we give you a signature ID, right, which you should put in your ticket, and thus you will be avoiding lengthy conversations and email threads. They'll instantly know what happens. So we have a ton of these right here that you can actually receive. We are constantly communicating with the support database to enlarge our with the Veeam ONE signature database, right? In order to be able to offer you this automation solution. Right, for example, if we see this error, right, we are sending you the cause together with the resolution and the signature ID. Okay, so this was the first Veeam ONE component. Let's check out the second, which is accessible via a URL. This is the Veeam ONE web client, previously known as the reporter. You can see that when we log in, we have these dashboards here. These dashboards, they all contain widgets that we can add, and these widgets, right, can give us a morning coffee view, so to speak, a summary of what we need to know when we access the Veeam ONE web client, right? So we can see, for example, a heat map of our repository free space, a top, right, a report on jobs by duration. We can see that we have some jobs that have lasted, have taken 24 hours. We might want to investigate to see what happens. We might want to check out the detailed report, and if we want to, we can just click view full report, and we'll have the possibility to preview the full report from here to check out the details. Right. We also have some VMware reports. For example, the top issues that we are seeing, how many more VMs can be added, and an inventory of our backup infrastructure. When we want to add a new widget, right? So we will need to click on new widget, and we will be able to choose the pack, the widget pack, just let's say Hyper-V Performance, for example. And here we will see the available widgets from this widget pack, like, for example, top VMs by CPU. We will be able to choose the objects we are going to apply it to by infrastructure or business view. Click finish, and well, here we go, our top VMs by CPU, right? We can see it here. So we've just launched a report right from here, from one widget. We've opted to see the full report. Let's see what this looks like. So basically here we have a latest job status report, and we can see all the details, right? So we see that we've had this backup copy job, which just ran on the 22nd, right, which was yesterday. Object in, we have one object failed in job, right, and we see that we have this error, this warning: some VMs were not processed during the copy interval, and job finished with error finally, right? So we definitely need to check this job, right? Go to Veeam Backup and Replication and see what happens. And if you don't find the report you need on the dashboard among your widget, you can find all the predefined reports here, right, grouped in folders on subjects. So for example, let's see, we can run a Veeam Backup capacity planning report for our repositories, and we can adjust the space utilization threshold, right? And or we can opt for a free space threshold. Let's see, let's click preview, and it's going to give us an estimation of free remaining remaining days, right, for the repositories in our infrastructure. Right, so we can see that we have 7 days left for our data domain, and for our cloud, what we call cloud repository, right, we have 382 days. For the XFS, we have 429, etc., right, with the options that we've specified here. Other reports are the Veeam backup monitoring reports, right? So the job history, which provides historical information for all your Veeam backup and replication jobs, or your backup infrastructure audit, which tracks configuration changes. Let's see, right? We can choose the object that we are applying it for, as well as the date range, and tap preview. Right. And while this report is generating, we can check what other reports we have here. For example, for vSphere, right, we have capacity planning as well, configuration tracking, infrastructure assessment, right? We can run a data store performance assessment, which will provide information on the data store performance, right? And it can also show potential issues, or a VM configuration assessment, which will analyze virtual machine configuration and show potential issues, right, for vSphere. Also reports on Nutanix AHV protection, and protected VMs in public cloud, and the reports on agents, right? For example, let's see an agent backup job and policy history for the past month. Meanwhile, we can check the audit on our backup infrastructure, but there's no data available since no one has changed anything during this week. That's interesting. Okay, so for the agent backup job and policy history, we will be able to examine historical information, right, for everything that is Veeam agent, be it Veeam agent installed on a server or on a work station. So, for example, we're backing up a MySQL server with the Linux agent, right? And we can see all the information right here. The processing rate, data size, data rate transferred, etc. Right? We can check all the jobs that have been executed. And we also have the possibilities to build custom reports, right? So in case the reports that are predefined are not enough, or we want to build something custom for our own environment, we can use this option here, which is called custom reports, right? And we can run an inventory report, for example, or we can run a Hyper-V custom performance report, right? Where we basically, the difference is that we all are going to be able to define our own performance metrics for the objects, right? Good. So I think that we've pretty much seen a lot of Veeam ONE today and its extended capabilities. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to use the question panel. If not, please be sure to check out all the resources that we have available. I can see a question here for an MSP. Can we attach multiple sites to one? Well, yes, Veeam ONE is multi-tenant. So if you're a service provider, you can monitor multiple tenants with Veeam ONE. Okay, so be sure to check out all the resources that we have available for the Veeam products. We have the Veeam Community Hub. We have the forums where you can actually converse directly with your product, with our product managers. The resource library, you can download and test all the Veeam products. We have a bunch of free tools, and you also have the possibility to register for other live demos in the future. If you're Veeam customers already, please you can check out my.veeam.com, where we have all the resources necessary. We can open cases with the support, or we can check out the latest products, and you can also manage your products, if in case you didn't know that, right? So your own license keys and so forth. Great. So please don't, if you're interested in Veeam ONE, and not only, please don't hesitate to contact your Veeam representative. They will be able to tell you more and eventually book you with a private demo with an engineer if possible. Thank you for joining, and have a wonderful day.